Well, the hits keep on coming, even though it was Aaron Boone's 50th birthday today. We saw a lot of injury news come out today, so we wanted to talk to Greg Joyce, our Yankees beat writer from the New York Post. Greg, how you doing, man?
Good, Ryan. Busy day here, but yeah, just another day in camp.
Another day at camp for sure. Let's start with Carlos Rodon. Obviously, that was the biggest news that came out today is that he's going to be out for the start of the season due to a left forearm strain. What more can you tell us about one, the severity of the injury and the impression you got from all those people, both Rodon, Cashman, and Boone, all talking about the injury to Rodon?
Yeah, it's a strain to a muscle in his left forearm, which is obviously better news than something involving a ligament. Brian Cashman said the UCL is intact, which Rodon had Tommy John in 2019. So anytime you hear an elbow or a forearm for a pitcher, that's always concerning. But they seem to think they caught this early. Rodon said he felt some of it in the lead up to his start last Sunday, which was his debut in the Grapefruit League. But he had experienced it last year at two different points in the season, pitched through it. So they said they did some physical testing and he was fine. But then he pitched on Sunday, didn't recover as well as they thought. And so then they sent him for an MRI yesterday, which revealed the strain. They seem to think in a best case scenario, he could be back sometime, maybe around mid-April, maybe late April. He shut down from throwing for 7 to 10 days, and then he's going to start to build the back up if everything's all right. But obviously, it's one of those things that Rodon even said arms can be finicky. You never really know, how something's going to go. So it's going to be a kind of a day by day thing, which he even said, sounds cliche, but it's kind of true in this scenario. So I think in the best case, yeah, April, late April maybe, but they got some time to go before then. And Rodon's had an injury history, which the Yankees, they knew about that before giving him $162 million. But the last 2 years, he's pretty much able to stay healthy and have those breakout years. So the Yankees are hoping that they kind of caught this early. That, Aaron Boone said last night it was kind of uncomfortable. Or he said today it was kind of uncomfortable waiting last night to hear what the results of the MRI was. But he said when the news came out this morning, he kind of breathed a sigh of relief. So they seem to think that all things considered, that they may have dodged a bullet on this being something more serious.
Yeah, we all are obviously hoping that they may have dodged a bullet. A lot of Yankees fans are going to be holding their breath over the next couple of weeks, especially when the season starts. Another element to this, Greg, that I think a lot of Yankees fans are looking forward to was this starting rotation and how strong it could be and how deep it could be. And now we've seen injuries to not only Frankie Montas, Nestor Cortez, and now the injury to Carlos Rodon. Can you just talk about the impact that this has had already on the starting rotation?
Yeah, like you said, entering camp, they knew Montas was at least going to miss, the first month of the season, but still, a lot of people were saying, at least on paper, that this rotation had the potential to be one of the game's better rotations. But obviously, now we know that Montas is probably out until at least August after having surgery. Rodon, like we said, they're hoping for mid-April, but Cortez, they seem to think he's still on track to start the season on time. He threw another live batting practice yesterday on Wednesday. He's going to throw one more early next week before potentially getting into a game. So they're kind of slow playing him a little bit, but they still seem to think he can start the season on time, even if it's on, the back end of the rotation, just to give him some extra time, just because he is a little bit further behind the rest of the starters with the hamstring strain that he had before camp. But these injuries to Montas and Rodon, Clark Schmidt and Domingo Herman were going to be battling it out for this spot at one point, and now both of them are seemingly going to be in the rotation to start the
Right.
season. So, they really, really are banking on those two guys, and they're excited about what Schmidt has added this offseason with a cutter. They think really helps against left-handed hitters and can help him be more than just a reliever that excels against right-handed hitters. So, but the depth definitely falls off a little bit after Herman and Schmidt. So they really need, Garrett Cole obviously has looked pretty good early in camp. Luis Severino as well. They raved about his physical, the status that he came in physically, and as long as Cortez can start the season, they're okay there. But after those five guys that are currently in the rotation, it kind of falls off from there. So they can't really afford much more.
They really can, and it's going to be tested early on in this season, obviously. The other injury news that came out also was Lou Trivino. He has an injury. He's going to start the season in the IL. Tommy Kahnle obviously had the bicep tendonitis. What more can you say about how the bullpen's been affected now by losing those two guys?
Yeah, so Trivino, they're hoping to get him back by May, but that's kind of an up in the air. It's an elbow ligament sprain for him, so those that they said of the three guys that they talked about today getting injured, that Trivino may be out the longest, but they're hoping for May. And Canely, they're hoping, at some point in April. He's dealt with the biceps tendonitis before in his career, and he said it usually, in the past when he's dealt with it, it maybe takes a month to clear up. So, and they were considering, kind of going slow with him out of the gates, anyways, just because he didn't pitch all that much last year. And so they think, that might be not the worst thing to just kind of slow him down a little bit to start and then have him join the team probably at some point in April when he's ready. They do have some relief depth there. It kind of opens some things up for the guys like Greg Joyce or Albert Abreu, who's a minor league option. So, those two guys especially, you would think now would have a spot in the bullpen. There's also guys like Jimmy Cordero, Matt Crook, who's a lefty. Both of those guys they put on the 40-man roster over the offseason. And then you have you have non-roster guy like Ian Hamilton, who's kind of impressed the coaching staff early on in camp. Does this open up a spot for him to make the team potentially? There's a couple different ways they could go, but they feel like they're able to withstand the injury to Trivino and Canely at this point.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that bullpen takes shape, obviously taking those two blows. But the final injury news that we got today was kind of a shocker. But Harrison Bader, what more can you tell us about this? Obviously, he's undergoing tests, but how concerned should Yankees fans be when you hear about that injury news coming out?
Yeah, so they don't know what it is yet. Just something with his left oblique. Aaron Boone said he kind of felt something in his swing in his last at bat during Wednesday's game. He was initially scheduled to start Thursday's game, but then they sent him for testing when he felt that. So obviously obliques can be tricky and can linger if you don't take care of them. So it seems like a potential, a situation where it might force him to start the season on the IL, but we won't know more until Friday at this point. But he was obviously, set to be their starting center fielder. So when Boone was asked who might slide over if Bader missed time, he mentioned Aaron Hicks, Rafael Ortega, Estevan Florial, and obviously we saw last season Aaron Judge played a good amount of center field too. So they have a couple different options there, but obviously Bader was huge for the Yankees when he after coming over in trade, he was injured at the time, but when he got healthy, he was really good for them, especially in the playoffs. So that would definitely be a loss if he's forced to miss time, but I guess we'll know more on Friday about the severity of that one.
It's going to be, again, really interesting to see how this all plays out. We're 3 weeks away from opening day. Obviously, the injury news is not great for the Yankees, but we'll see how it all plays out. Greg, thank you so much for giving us your insight and all the news today, man.
Sure. Thanks, Ryan.